The moment Kelsey Mitchell opened her mouth in that now viral interview, you knew something had shifted. This wasn't your usual PR fluff. This was a power move disguised as grace. A veteran finally getting her flowers and giving them out in the same breath. And the tea? Piping. Hot. Because here's the thing. When a player like Caitlin Clark crashes into the league with more fanfare than the Met Gala and starts drawing record ratings and criticisms with every step she takes, if you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. You'd think tensions in the locker room might be boiling, right? Like maybe a few side eyes during practice. A little rookie got too much shine energy? Not here. Not this time. Kelsey Mitchell didn't just not hold back. She cracked the whole conversation wide open. And what she said might be the real reason the Indiana Fever are suddenly looking like a team on the edge of greatness. But before we get into the mic drop moment, let's rewind. Because the chaos didn't start with Clark's arrival. It started before she even entered the draft. See, for years, the Indiana Fever were the forgotten child of the WNBA. Post-Tamika Catchings era, the franchise basically wandered the basketball wilderness like a lost intern looking for the conference room. Rotating coaches, dwindling fan interest, year after year of lottery picks that somehow never quite panned out. And in the middle of all that, Kelsey Mitchell. Drafted second overall in 2018, Mitchell was supposed to be the answer. But instead, she became something more complicated. The anchor in a storm nobody was steering. Through coaching carousel after coaching carousel, front office drama, and some truly painful losing seasons, Mitchell stayed. She balled. She scored. But outside of diehard fans, crickets. She didn't get the billboards. She didn't get the ESPN interviews. She got buckets and silence. So when Caitlin Clark was drafted and brought a literal media circus with her, you wouldn't have blamed Mitchell if she side-eyed the whole thing. Imagine holding down a franchise for 6 losing years, and suddenly a college phenom shows up, and now people care? But that's not what happened. Not even close. In her interview after the Fever's latest win, a game that saw every core player clicking like they were cast in a sports movie climax, Mitchell said something that made everyone pause. She looked right into the camera, smiled, and gave it straight. She praised Clark, not with a can she's learning. She's growing lines people usually throw rookies, but with real respect. She changed the game, Mitchell said. Not just here, everywhere. Let that sit for a second, because it wasn't just praise. It was a signal, a message to everyone watching, teammates, fans, the league itself, that this wasn't a feud narrative. This was a movement. And the Fever were all in. It wasn't about jealousy. It was about legacy. And Kelsey Mitchell? She's not bitter. She's building. Now here's where it gets juicy. Mitchell didn't just give Clark her flowers. She reminded everyone who planted the damn garden. She talked about the dark days of the franchise, about staying when others might have bailed, about scoring 20-plus points a night with nobody watching, no national coverage, and no hype. I've been here through it all, she said, and I'm still here. And just like that, she rewrote the narrative. Not as a veteran being pushed out by the new golden girl, but as a foundation Clark is building on. She even hinted that she'd take less money just to keep this core together. Who does that? Who says that in a league where players are finally starting to get paid what they're worth? Someone who believes they're on the verge of a dynasty. Because make no mistake, this team is scary. With Mitchell's experience, Aaliyah Boston's dominance in the paint, Clark's playmaking and insane range, and role players like Lexi Hull stepping up when it matters most, the Fever are no longer a punchline. They're a problem. And it's not just talent. It's chemistry. Watching them play now feels like watching a girl group that actually likes each other. Rare, underrated, and powerful. The passing is crisp, the bench celebrations are loud, and the defense? Suddenly organized. And when Clark does something ridiculous, like draining a 3 from the logo or dropping a no-look assist, Mitchell doesn't roll her eyes. She laughs. She lives for it. They're not competing for attention. They're competing for wins. And speaking of Clark, don't let the social media drama fool you. She's not just a shooting highlight reel. According to Mitchell, she's also the team's locker room comedian. Cracking jokes, roasting her teammates lightly, and keeping the energy light even when things get tense. That's not just charisma. That's leadership. It's giving. Diana Taurasi in her rookie WNBA commercial, but with better vibes. Of course, all this wouldn't matter if the results weren't backing it up. But they are. The Fever have clawed their way into playoff contention, and people are watching. Their games are trending. Their merch is flying. And suddenly, Indiana isn't just a team to watch. It's a team to fear. And the way Mitchell tells it, this didn't happen by accident. It happened because the team finally leaned into balance. No more relying on one player to drag them to a win. No more hero ball. Everyone eats. Everyone contributes. Even the coaching has leveled up, finally building game plans that actually use their strengths instead of scrambling last minute. It's almost like planning works? Wild concept. But let's be clear. This isn't just a feel-good comeback story. This is a power shift. The old WNBA guard, they're watching. Some of them are side-eyeing. The media has been trying to pit players against each other all season, especially when it comes to Clark. But Mitchell's latest comments crush that noise. It's not beef, it's belief. She believes in this team, in this moment, in the future they're building brick by brick. And look, maybe it's too early to throw around words like dynasty, but when your vets are willing to sacrifice, your rookies are drawing global attention, and your whole squad is buying into a shared vision, that's how dynasties start. So, let's give out some fake awards, shall we? Most underrated franchise savior, Kelsey Mitchell, for staying loyal when no one was looking and now thriving when everyone is. Best media spin without spinning. Also Mitchell, for turning a potentially messy narrative into a masterclass in leadership and emotional intelligence. Locker room MVP, Caitlin Clark, apparently, for keeping everyone laughing while also casually shifting the cultural fabric of women's basketball. And finally, biggest plot twist in a sports franchise, the Indiana freaking Fever. From bottom feeders to future title contenders in less than a season? Somebody call Netflix. We've got our next documentary. So what's the takeaway? That humility and hype don't have to cancel each other out. That legacy and newcomers can coexist. That when respect flows both ways, from rookies to vets and back again, you don't just build a team, you build a movement. Mitchell could have been bitter. She could have stayed quiet. But instead, she stepped up, spoke out, and reminded everyone why her name deserves to be right next to Clark's in headlines. Not behind it. Not after it. Next to it. Drop a comment if you're riding the Fever train this season and tell me, do they have what it takes to go all the way? Or are we still one piece away from total domination? No. Because when it comes to this very public, very emotional Indiana Fever renaissance, we've barely cracked the surface. We're not just watching a team turn the page. We're watching them rip out the whole book and start a new one, co-authored by Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark, with a foreword by Destiny, apparently. And look, for longtime Fever fans, this glow-up is borderline surreal. They've sat through years of mediocrity. They've heard every excuse, bad drafts, rebuild in progress, chemistry issues, misfiring coaching hires, you name it. At some point, being a Fever fan was like being stuck in an airport with no updates. Just sitting there, waiting for something, anything to take off. And suddenly, not only has a plane taken off, it's breaking the sound barrier. But don't let the shine fool you. Behind the Cinderella season is blood, sweat, and a whole lot of we told you so energy. Especially from Mitchell, who spent 6 seasons hearing people talk about what the Fever could be, all while she was out there quietly averaging double digits, night after night, carrying the weight of forgotten franchise. That's what made her interview so powerful. It wasn't loud. It wasn't performative. It was calm, centered, and real. And that's what hit hardest. Because when someone who's been to the worst tells you, we're just getting started, you believe them. But let's talk about what's really happening here. The Fever are rewriting the rules for what team building looks like in the WNBA. Most people assume a franchise turnaround starts with a savior. 1 star, 1 rookie, 1 blockbuster trade. That's the movie version. But Indiana, they're going full ensemble cast. Everybody has a role, and no one's trying to steal the spotlight. Clark may be the Flash, But Mitchell is the glue. Aaliyah Boston is the foundation. Lexi Hull is the grit. And together, they're more like a girl gang than a team. And the vibes? Immaculate. Take that recent win. The one that kicked off this whole interview firestorm. It wasn't a Clark takeover. It wasn't a Mitchell heat check. It was everyone doing their job so well, it looked effortless. The passes were sharp. The rotations were fast. The bench was out of their seats before half the shots even dropped. And the crowd? Losing their minds. That's the thing. Clark may have brought the spotlight, but it's what the Fever are doing with it that's remarkable. Most teams with a viral rookie fumble the bag. They either over-rely on her or get caught up in the media tornado. But Indiana? They figured it out. They're feeding off the energy without losing their identity. Mitchell made that clear in her comments. She didn't just give Clark props. She framed the moment for what it really is, an opportunity. Not just for herself, not just for the team, but for the entire league. She changed the way people talk about this game, Mitchell said. And let's be honest, she's not wrong. Whether you love her or love to hate her, Clark has people watching. And Mitchell isn't threatened by that. She's using it, channeling it, amplifying it. That's leadership. But it also begs a question, why does it feel so rare? Too often in sports, and let's be real, especially in women's sports, players are pitted against each other. It's the lazy headline, the easy narrative, vets versus rookies, new school versus old school. But Mitchell and Clark, they're flipping that script, and the payoff is undeniable. Because guess what happens when you don't waste time on ego wars? You win games. You build trust. You elevate everybody, including the fans. Let's pause on that for a second. The fans? They're living for this. Suddenly, Fever merch is flying off the shelves. Ticket sales are up. Highlight clips are dominating social media. People who couldn't name 2 WNBA teams last year are now arguing about Indiana's playoff seeding. This isn't just a team story. It's a cultural moment. And Mitchell's grace in handling all of it, it's masterful. She could have taken the low road. She could have given that interview with a side of subtle shade. But she didn't. She stepped into the spotlight, not to claim it, but to share it. That's how you know she's playing chess, not checkers. She's not just fighting for respect. She's defining what respect looks like in this new era. And she's not alone. Let's talk about Aaliyah Boston for a second. A lot of rookies last year would have been eaten alive walking into a broken franchise. But Boston, she held her own. She got her reps. And now, in year 2, she settled into that paint like she owns it. The chemistry between her and Mitchell? Silky. The way she and Clark are already running pick and rolls like they've been doing for a decade? Terrifying. This is what happens when a team stops surviving and starts sinking. And again, it all ties back to Mitchell's mindset. Her decision to embrace this new era rather than resist it, that's what's making it all click. Let's not forget, Mitchell even hinted that she'd take a pay cut just to keep the core together. In an era where players are finally starting to speak out about fair compensation, that's not nothing. It's not self-sacrifice, it's strategy. She knows this group has something special, something worth building, and she's betting on the long game. So where does this go from here? Well, let's not get too dreamy just yet. The season's still long. The competition is fierce. And as the Fever rise, the expectations will too. Teams are going to start gunning for them. Scouting Clark more aggressively. Testing Boston in the post. Targeting Mitchell on defense. It's coming. But if this team can keep their heads down, stay healthy, and keep trusting each other, they could be scary by playoff time. Not just cute story scary. Contender scary. Imagine it. The Fever, once written off as a league's afterthought, suddenly pushing deep into the postseason, not because of one superstar, but because a group of players decided they were better together than they'd ever be alone. And if they pull it off, if they keep climbing, it won't just be a good season. It'll be the start of a new era, not just for Indiana, but for how we talk about women's sports, period. Because this isn't just a feel-good story about a veteran and a rookie learning to coexist. It's a masterclass in how to lead when the cameras are finally watching. Kelsey Mitchell didn't just not hold back. She stepped forward. owned her story, and in doing so, gave the Fever a whole new one. And that's legendary. So here's the final word. If you're still sleeping on the Indiana Fever, now's the time to wake up, because this isn't a fluke. It's not hype. It's not just Caitlin Clark pulling magic tricks from half court. It's not just Kelsey Mitchell playing with a chip on her shoulder. It's all of it. The leadership, the chemistry, the belief. The storm is here, and the Fever are the eye of it. So yeah, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment and tell me, are we witnessing the next WNBA dynasty in real time? Or is this just a moment before the storm fades? Because either way, the world is watching. And this time, Indiana's ready. We're not done unpacking this Fever dream turned dynasty blueprint. And honestly, the deeper we go, the clearer it becomes. We're not just watching a team win games. We're watching them win the narrative war, on and off the court. And that's no small thing in the WNBA. Let's talk about something people don't want to admit. Image matters. Perception sells. And for years, Indiana had none. No buzz. No storylines. Just a team stuck in a cycle of mediocrity, getting passed over like the side salad at a barbecue. The league knew it. Fans knew it. Even players knew it. But now, every time Caitlin Clark steps on the court, cameras follow. Headlines follow. Twitter lights up. The league schedule? Suddenly, every team wants Indiana on their home calendar. And what used to be a backcourt of invisibility is now the most watched duo in the WNBA. But the thing is, Mitchell isn't riding shotgun in Clark's media parade. She's co-piloting the whole damn thing, and doing it with style, because here's the delicious irony. All this attention that people thought would divide the team, it's actually gluing it together. And don't get it twisted. Mitchell's not just playing a supportive big sister role. She's not just clapping from the corner. When Clark drops 30, she's out there getting hers. Still one of the smoothest, coldest scorers in the league. Still cooking defenders off the dribble, and still hitting those mid-range jumpers like it's a personal vendetta. And yet, she's still making room. Not stepping aside, but stepping forward, with Clark beside her, not behind. That kind of maturity, that kind of confidence, you can't fake that. And you definitely can't teach it. But it's not just Mitchell either. This whole Fever squad feels like it's been through a group therapy session and came out with shared custody of a dream. There's a sense of clarity to how they move, how they talk about each other, how they fight on the court. It's like everyone's been handed a script, and the only line is, do your part and trust the rest. That's how you build something bigger than one player. That's how you start a culture. And culture? That's where dynasties are born. Because let's be real, talent alone doesn't win championships. Plenty of teams have loaded rosters. Plenty of rookies have entered with hype. But when it gets messy, when the losses pile up, when the media turns, when the pressure starts to crush, culture is what keeps a team from imploding. And right now, Indiana's culture is loud and clear. No egos, no excuses, just energy. Even when they lose, which, yes, still happens, it feels different. There's no finger pointing, no awkward post-game shade, no buried tension. That's one press conference away from blowing up. Instead, it's we'll fix it. We'll be better. We're still learning. And that's when you know they believe in what they're building. But let's not get too kumbaya about it. This team still is bite. Mitchell especially. She plays like someone who remembers every loss. Every headline that ignored her. Every is she a bust? Conversation. And now, she's weaponizing that memory. Her composure isn't passive. It's practiced. It's the calm of someone who's earned her voice, not had it handed to her. And now that she has the mic, she's not wasting a syllable. She's out here rewriting the storyline in real time, turning every question about Clark into an opportunity to highlight the team, turning every game into a masterclass on how to lead without making it about you. That's what makes her so compelling. She's not fighting the narrative. She's directing it. And the league? They're watching. You can feel the energy shift when Indiana rolls into town. There's a new tension, a new urgency. Even teams with seasoned stars are starting to look over their shoulders. Because this group doesn't just want to win. They want to own the moment. Let's take a step back and appreciate how fast this flipped. It wasn't that long ago that the Fever were losing by double digits on a regular, playing in front of half-empty arenas, getting dunked on by analysts who barely bothered to learn their names. Now, they're the storyline, the ratings magnet, the tour bus with a destination. And every single member of that squad feels like they know it. You can see it in the way they celebrate each other's plays, the way they huddle up with purpose, the way they walk off the court, even in defeat, with chins high and eyes forward. That's not just swagger. That's belief. And here's where it gets even better. They're not even at their ceiling yet. Clark is still adjusting to the physicality of the league. Boston's still refining her offensive bag. The supporting cast still growing into their roles. There are games where they look brilliant, yes, but there are also games where they look raw, which should terrify the rest of the league. Because if this is Indiana at 75% chemistry and 60% experience, just imagine them in 2 seasons. Imagine them when the plays are second nature, when the rookie mistakes are gone, when the playoff scars start to form. That's not just a team with potential. That's a team with destiny. And Mitchell? She'll still be there. She'll still be the anchor, the translator, the emotional thermostat, the one who remembers where they started and makes sure no one forgets. So here's the million-dollar question. Can the Fever go all the way? It's too early to call. There are powerhouses out there with deeper benches and rings in their rear view. But the way Indiana is moving, they don't just want to contend. They want to change what contending even looks like. They're not just building a team. They're building a blueprint, one that says you can combine star power and humility, flash and fundamentals, legacy and the future. And it all circles back to that interview, that one moment where Kelsey Mitchell looked the world in the eye and said, "Yeah, she's changed the game, and we're lucky to have her." It wasn't a soundbite. It was a thesis, one that told you everything you needed to know about this team soul. Because that, right there, is how you dismantle resentment. That's how you defuse drama. That's how you lead, by naming the truth without fearing it and still standing tall in your own value. So as the season charges on, as the games get tighter and the stakes climb higher, remember this moment. Remember how it felt watching a team go from forgotten to formidable. Not because of one player, but because they figured out how to let everyone shine. The Fever don't need to fake harmony. They live it. They don't need a redemption arc. They are one. And if this keeps up, if the core sticks together, if the vision stays clear, if the energy stays hungry, then one day, not too far from now, we won't just be talking about how Caitlin Clark changed the game. We'll be talking about how the Indiana Fever changed the league. So yeah, stay locked in. Because if you're just now tuning in, you're already late. But lucky for you, this dynasty, it's just getting started.